Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Man, We're Too Old for This, here on the Nerd Eternal Network. I'm your host, the experience that some call Jason, and with me today is...
The token energy powder abuser, Tarky.
CDO-113, the droid you're looking for.
And the blurred dawn of the Ville, the Todd Father, now in stylish hat.
Not that anybody can tell because this is, mostly audio. And today we're going to talk about things that ended too soon. Comics, TV series, whatever. Something that, we got into and we're looking forward to seeing where it would go, and, it wound up getting cut off after, one season or, 8 or 10 issues. So, who wants to start us off?
Yeah, probably somebody had an idea. Anybody have an idea?
I'm very happy to start off.
All right, Tarky, start us off.
So I'm going to start off with a manga, obviously, to throw you all off. And it was called The Heroes BBS, which a BBS is a type of forum for messaging. But the entire crux of this story was heroes in Japan. It's a big cliche of heroes being summoned to another world. The crux of the story was, they can all kind of text each other. So you have heroes with like 100 years experience, and then someone would text them, it's like, hey, I'm just suddenly in a different world. I have no idea what's going on, but I can see these text boxes. What's happening? And people, and it's, either heroes with odd problems, or they don't know what they're doing, or any number of things, go to this BBS and ask for help. And it was a series of short stories, but it was, it was an ongoing manga of different stories of different heroes. And I just really enjoyed reading it. Specifically, one hero who had gone to this world, saved it, went home, got pulled into another world, saved that one, went home, and he's messaging the BBS, there's a hole in front of me. Because he was just using the restroom, and he felt that he was about to get teleported and jumped out of the way because he's so used to it now. So he's just standing there with a hole to another world and he's asking the heroes, do I jump in this one? Because he talks about how every time he jumps in that, when he comes out, it's been months or years real time. So he doesn't have a job, and he's got no job prospects because he's got these huge gaps in his resume where he just disappeared and didn't do anything. So in his world, he looks like a layabout. And, the heroes are talking, well, like, did you enjoy the worlds you were in? And he's like, oh yeah, the first world was great. And he starts talking about, how this princess wanted to marry him and all these great things were happening. And how, the second world he had great friends and all this stuff. And he went, oh, I should have just stayed in one of those. And he's like lamenting and regretting coming back to his home world while standing in front of this hole in the bathroom for another one. And they eventually convince him to jump in it.
How long did this one go?
It was a weekly. So it went about 50 issues. So it had about a year's run, which is not awful. But then it just got kind of just cut. Either the magazine that was carrying it just went out of business and never got picked up by anyone else, or they were just forced to cut it because interest was not high enough.
I never have really understood how the manga scene works over there. Over here you tend to find them in individual collections of particular stories.
Right. Imagine it like newspaper comics, where you buy, instead of it's a page in the newspaper, it is a magazine that has the key titles of that magazine in it.
Like that Jump magazine that so many animes come from.
Yeah, Shonen Jump is the largest. Period. Well, it has been for years. I don't know the actual information right now to say.
You don't have the sales information in front of you, I understand.
Yeah, I don't know. It's currently the biggest, but it's the most well known.
So if you're reading some of the smaller ones and like one goes out of business, how do you keep up with where the series moves to? if it's a series that keeps going.
Usually, if the magazine knows it's going out of business, they'll have their last issue for things, and they'll mention on the last page of like, "Hey, we are moving to this magazine."
Oh.
Or, read us again at blank. Now, some mangas get a full transformation. Some mangas are completely restarted from chapter 1 with a new art style. But that's a lot of those are like adaptations of other works that get canceled early because a magazine fails. They'll get just restarted somewhere else with a new artist.
Oh, okay.
But Heroes BBS was just very comedic to me because it's these very wise, experienced people, and then just some people that just sounded like some nonsense because they just save the world super easy and just think it's natural to just have all these powers and abilities that no one else has.
So it's kind of like any internet forum. You've got the kind of old heads there that know what they're talking about, and then just
And you've got a bunch of know-it-alls.
All right. Danny, Todd, when y'all want to go next?
You want me to go and then you?
No, my problem is I've got two.
Okay.
But I guess I'll only do one of them. I think I'll do Nighthawk by David F. Walker. It was a book by Marvel Comics, came out maybe about 4 years ago. Dealing with the Nighthawk from the Supreme Power, from Straczynski's Supreme Power universe, but in the 616. It was right after the incursions and that last Secret Wars. I enjoyed the hell out of it, but based on the subject matter, I don't see how he managed to get like the first issue out. So I knew it wasn't long for the world. And the fact that the damn thing went 6 issues, like every month that it actually came out was like a shock. It was like, holy shit. I mean, I actually became friends with the dude on Facebook. Was like, they can't be like reading this shit. Because the Supreme Power version of Nighthawk, Nighthawk is basically a knockoff of Batman. But in Supreme Power, Kyle Richmond was a black kid that his parents were killed by white supremacists. So he don't take that shit. And this is around, kind of mid dirty cops killing innocent people thing. And he basically wrote a story where you had a fucking superhero that if the court didn't put you in jail, he'd find you and break shit. So it was like issue after issue of him beating the living hell out of dirty cops. And I was like, how in the hell? I know Marvel ain't reading this. You cannot convince me that this book has an editorial staff from Marvel where they look at shit.
That shows you they don't have an editor-in-chief.
Yeah, I was sitting there going, there's no way in hell they're reading it. And it, like I said, it went about half a year and somebody read it. It was like, this shit got to go. And hell, they ended up killing off that Nighthawk off panel during Secret Empire. But yeah, that was the last comic book that came out that I was like, I'm going to buy this. I liked it. I liked the storyline, and I liked the fact the dude was daring enough to put that shit in a book.
Yeah.
So it was like, I picked up the first one just because I kind of liked the Squadron Supreme, and the Squadron Supreme that you had right after the incursion was, every member was like from a different universe. So like Blur was from the new universe. I don't know where that Hyperion was from. The Hyperion had been there for a while because he had been part of the Avengers.
Wow, he was in that world that had gotten wiped out. And he
Yeah.
was drifting in between, and AIM found him.
Yeah. Like I said, Nighthawk was from the Supreme Power. It wasn't 1610 because 1610 is ultimate, but yeah, he was from that world. So everybody was from a different spot. Dr. Spectrum was from one of the worlds that Namor killed during the incursion. So like their first thing as a team was basically get revenge on that bastard. Killed Namor for that. For as long as death lasts in Marvel. Just hell, Hyperion literally picked up the continent of Atlantis, flew it up into the air, and when Namor was like begging for him not to basically just dump it, yeah, their Dr. Spectrum created a sword, chopped his head off. The Power Princess that they had on that team was actually Warrior Woman from another dimension. She had caught Power Princess in between dimensions and like beat her ass and took her clothes. She did her best to kill him.
So I think the Power Princess in question may have been the one from the old Squadron Supreme miniseries. The one that had been trapped in the Marvel universe for a while.
Yeah, but not with. But I know when she finds her in between universes. Because oh hell, she may have even been an iteration of the one from Supreme Power because she had the same kind of life draining ability. Remember that Supreme Power Princess? She was kind of a lich. That's how she stayed young. Was basically she found young, beautiful people and drained them of their life force and killed them and absorbed it. Because she had that whole, I'm a god and this is a lowly peon peasant mortal. So it does you great. It does you great honor basically to be my food. But yeah, that's mine. I'm gonna go with Nighthawk just because it was damn good and damn short. Where Masters of the Universe actually went two seasons, but it ended on a cliffhanger.
The Masters of the Universe would have been another one you could have talked about.
Yeah, easily. Because like I said, it ends. It was damn good, and it literally ends on a cliffhanger. You can tell they didn't know that it was over, and they had a season 3 planned. So you had basically Snake Mountain running around as a big old 3-headed snake.
All right, Danny, you got one?
Yeah, this past season on NBC, they had this show called Debris. And Jennifer and I didn't catch the first episode, but we watched from the second on. But you had this alien spaceship in our universe, and when the humans were detecting it, it was one of those things of they thought it was an asteroid. When it got just so far from the moon, they realized, oh, it's an alien spaceship. And I want to say that several of the nations launched missiles at it because it was on a direct path. They weren't detecting any life signs from the thing, and so they launched missiles at it. Well, it busted it up, but then that debris starts falling to Earth. There's still some in space, but a lot of it fell to Earth. Well, when a piece of debris lands somewhere, it gives off a little radiation, but not like nuclear plant radiation. It gives off a particular cosmic type thing, and it would cause ripples in the fabric of space-time kind of situation. Like one piece of debris, when they went to investigate it, it would make clones of you. Like one guy had died, it had hit his house and he had died, but the clones it was making of him, like a few feet away, one would go running looking for his wife. One had no memory of who he was. It was one of those kind of situations. You had a team of U.S. agents and British agents that were working together. The Russians had their own little team. The Chinese had their little team. And everybody was trying to get as much of this spaceship, because once you brought pieces close to another piece, if they were supposed to be together, they would join. Because like the U.S. had put together almost half of one of the thruster engines and part of the cockpit. Anytime they got a piece close by, it would just jump up and hover in the air where it was supposed to be. And like they had one that was causing these walls in the middle of, like you would say, a ghostly wall, and they were trying to get people to come through the wall to be safe, and they couldn't. They were stuck, and they finally figured out how to open the doorway. And the people that came out, some of them were from present day, some of them were from the 90s, some of them from the 80s, from the 70s, and they realized these things had opened doorways through time. And then you had one piece that these old people had found, and it made them young. But the problem was they had to stay within so many feet of it, otherwise they would age again. And it just, one piece healed people. One piece, sent you back 2 days in time, and but it might alter reality. Like me and Todd might, go back in time 2 days. We do it again because once you play, it's like a groundhog effect. Well, the next time it might be Todd and Danielle because it splinters off into alternate realities. One time it might be me and Francesca, totally different person. And so they had to figure out how to stop that effect. And each episode dealt with, some weird goings on. And you had a cabal of scientists and whatnot like that were kind of going rogue that, well, this technology belongs to everybody. And they were trying to get the pieces, and they didn't care how much collateral damage happened. So it was one of those things. And the season finale was a cliffhanger. Well, the show didn't make it.
Damn.
So it was just kind of a weirdness of the week.
Yeah.
But everything that was weird had the origin in this blown up spaceship.
Right. And you had the two main characters. One was a U.S. He was former Special Forces, now working for the CIA Department of Defense. And then the other was a British chick from MI6. And throughout the episodes that Jennifer and I watched, they were giving this guy a shot each day, or every so many days they were giving him a double dose of the shot. And you knew that in his first encounter with something, the debris had done something to him, but you didn't know what. The British agent, her dad was a scientist that the British had put out there to help collect these pieces of debris, and then he disappears. Well, then he ends up dead. Remember how I mentioned that some of the debris could clone you?
Yeah.
Also, some of the debris could bring you back to life.
Ooh.
You died, yet it would bring you back. You would be missing whatever chunk of time it was that you were dead, but it could resurrect you. But they had to inject the piece like into your heart or into your brain, whatever. And so they injected his piece through one of his eyes into his brain. And it kind of takes a little piece of your humanity away when it does that, because you're not quite the same. So like, he still loved his daughter, but his idea of we're going to do this for the greater good was still there. So it revealed there at the end that, yeah, I'm your dad, but I'm not your original dad, kind of thing. And so that was one of the big cliffhangers, because like, she had been on the search to find out what happened to my dad. She finds her dad, and then she's hiding her and the agent are hiding the dad from the British and the U.S. because they know as soon as they get him, they're going to snatch him and put him in a black site. And then all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, what do you mean you aren't my dad? And the dad double crosses her, but to activate this one particular piece of debris, he makes her take a pill, and it's a piece of that debris, but it shields her from the radiation ring that goes out. Well, they think it's going to kill the agent. Well, where he'd been taking them injections, it was to keep him stabilized from that debris that he had a piece of the shrapnel still stuck in his head. So it's one of those things, and it ends on the cliffhanger, and you're like, son of a,
And what is the lesson here? Never end on cliffhangers.
Right.
Yeah, truthfully.
Finish the damn story.
Well,
At least
I'm
we
kind of
just-
like Todd, where I've got kind of multiple things I could talk about. I could talk about the original run of Kwame Woody that I liked so much that ran 9 issues and stopped. Or DC did a comic called Vexed about the god of mishap and misfortune that I loved it. It went 9 issues and stopped. I actually had the lady that runs or at the time was managing the comic shop in Decatur, warn me away from a couple of books she liked because I had this I was on a streak of I think there was at least one more book. I can't remember what it was now.
Everything you enjoy died.
So basically, what
At
you're
issue
saying
9, basically, it was a weird.
it was like you and Wayne. Wayne likes a book. That means the author's going to die.
Well, Wayne likes the book. It means the author's probably already dead.
That's true. That's true.
But what I'm actually going to talk about is a TV show, since everybody else seems to be going comics. Well, except Danny. So I guess we're splitting it. How many of y'all remember The Cape?
Yes.
Okay.
So Heroes had come out and been popular, and I think it was the next season
Mm-hmm.
that you had The Cape was a superhero show that came out. No Ordinary Family came out. I can't remember if there was a couple of other kind of related things.
Yeah, you had, what was it, Alphas?
Yeah, Sci-Fi had Alphas right in that area, time period. But The Cape was kind of a Batman level, street vigilante. I would always talk about how it and No Ordinary Family, if they just put the two shows together, you'd have had something I wanted to see.
Yeah.
Because the Cape had costumes but no superpowers. And No Ordinary Family had the powers but like no costumes. Neither one of the shows, I think, made it out of past the first season.
Nope.
The
Cape had some of Glau working against it.
Unfortunately.
Yep, had the curse of Glau.
The Cape, though, felt more like a comic book.
Yeah.
Because you had, Glau was running as a super hacker. You had a knockoff of the Circus of Crime that Keith David was running, or his character was running. That had trained the Cape, the main character how to fight. You had the villain Chess was kind of a Lex Luthor Joker combo. You had a guy that really reminded you of Killer Croc. Except that he was trying to be a mob boss, but you had some weirdness there. And the storyline was decent. The guys, the main hero has been framed. Everybody thinks he was Chess, but they also think he's dead. So you had him kind of separate from his family. You had the wife kind of figuring out some stuff had gone on. You had he had been a police officer. You had his partner who double crossed him and got him, in the situation he was in. But it's like the partner didn't, felt bad about it and was keeping like a close eye on his wife, trying to keep his wife out of any trouble. And it was one that it kept improving as the season went on.
Yeah.
There was a buddy of mine at work who's retired now, but he hadn't seen it when it was out. He was watching it, I think, on some streaming service or something, somewhere he'd found it and had been watching it. And I kind of warned him how it ended, not like spoilerly how it ended, but the fact that it just sort of ended at the first season. But so we'd sit around and talk about it. But like I said, it was one that kept improving. And towards the end of the season, you were just starting to have people show up that kind of had powers. You had this little savant, this woman that was like like quantum physics savant, math savant, that was basically precognitive. It wasn't that she was seeing the future, but she could like calculate. When the episode starts up, it starts up in a flashback to when she's a child, and her dad is working for the guy that as a viewer is Chess. And when the dad introduces him, this is Mr. So and So, that owns the company that's financing. She looks Chess dead in the eye and goes, "Oh, you're the one that's going to kill my father."
Yeah.
And that was the whole storyline of the episode, was she'd rolled into town to kill his ass. So between that and the Killer Croc type guy, you were having people pop up that kind of sort of had powers. So I was really looking forward to seeing what they were going to do with the second season. But I think she popped up in the second to last episode, or maybe there was 2 episodes after that. I forget. Yeah, but the one season's all you got, and I've got the box set sitting in my living room. Yeah, but it was one they could have really done something with.
Yeah. You had several of those little 1 season, 2 season type things that they could have really done a lot better with if they'd come out now.
Yeah. So
that's like, it's a cult favorite now, but Firefly.
Uh-huh. Fox kind of shot themselves in the foot with that one, just all the way around, though. You know, they showed them out of order, and I think they showed them at weird times sometimes. And just all
Yeah,
kinds of stuff.
yeah. They didn't have they changed the days on it twice for some reason, and like you say, they showed some of them out of order because they would, that was one of those shows that would reference something, and then it would happen. It's like, what?
Yeah. Well, that's why when he did the movie, he went to Universal. I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of those things where when it was on television, I watched it. I hated it. They did a marathon of it. I watched a couple of them. I still didn't like it, but I love Serenity. I love the movie. And I realized I don't like these people. I like the agent.
Yeah, the agent was special.
Well, I've watched the entire series, and the episodes that were really good were really good. But then you had some episodes that were just kind of meh.
Yeah.
I could easily see it being kind of depending on which ones you saw.
The first one I saw was that with the man they called Jane or some shit like that. I hate it. Where this damn thing is god awful.
Where it's on the mud planet. Yeah.
Yeah.
This shit is trash.
I just like though I do. The name of their alcohol sticks with me. Mutter's Milk.
Oh yeah. Nathan Fillion, he played the captain on that. I did like when he got the show he did after that, where he was the writer that helped the police. He was basically a crime writer, and they had their Halloween episode, and it shows him. His daughter's like, "Well, who you gonna be as for Halloween?" And he steps out from behind the screen, and he's wearing Miles' outfit, and she's like, "You wore that last year," referencing the fact that he had just done the thing, and he's like, "What? Fuck this!" And I even got the quick draw down, and he pulls the the blaster out real quick, and she's like, "Dad, really?" And it was just one of those things,
Okay, I gotta do a nerd. Well, actually, in Firefly, they didn't use blasters; they just used guns.
Yeah, okay, excuse me, gun. Yeah.
Laser weaponry existed, but bullets were cheaper, so why wouldn't everybody use bullets?
Yeah. Well, he drew the pistol off of his hip, and it was the exact outfit because Fillion kept it.
I was about to say that's probably what it was. He probably just pulled a Ryan Reynolds, just walked off set wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep this.
Well, I can't say I blame him. It was a cool outfit.
If nobody stops me, I'm just going to keep this.
But yeah.
So anyway, if anybody out there has got another comic or show that they think got canceled just way too early, let us know in the comments below. You can also contact us at the nerdattornal@gmail.com. We're on Facebook. Like I said, you can leave comments below. Please like and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also leave a comment wherever you get your podcasts at if you listen to this in audio form. If you go to the nerdattornal.com, we've got a shop if you want to support the show. Any support you give us is appreciated. Again, I've been the experienced some called Jason, and with me has been
The token didn't get to mention the Thundercats reboot, Tarky.
DDL-113, the droid you're looking for.
And the blurred Dawn of the Ville, the Todd Father. Still in stylish hat.
and we will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.